Thank you.
Let's just wait for another 2 minutes. Probably we just have one or two guests, one Sahat and from your school, you both. Let's wait for the others. We've invited all the principals of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. And after this session, probably we'll be inviting the other two states from south of India. That's Andhra, Telangana, and probably Maharashtra.
You think we could just interact with you until then?
Yes, you can. You're free to.
Yeah, yes, yes. No, this is very first time, we are getting into this. So, is this one of a kind happening only now, or have we missed a few sessions before this? Just wanted to know that.
We conducted 2 weeks ago one assessment program for teachers, and there were around 261 participants, 261 teachers from the Cambridge International Schools. And
Uh-huh.
this is a flagship program, the Cpsq assessment program, and it's
Okay.
one of a kind which has been introduced by Cambridge University.
Okay.
Now, with this kind of an echo,
Can you just mute yourself, Rizwana?
yes, she's done it. So it's one of a flagship program, and we've done assessments with teachers. We've tried to understand their non-cognitive skills. We found that most of them are aware of the subject content, but with the huge amounts of stress and the change in work environment, their emotional well-being is also at stake. So we've tried. Cambridge has come up with a new assessment very similar to the psychometric assessment. So this is the program, and I'm just trying to make principals understand that these non-cognitive skills are also important when it comes to online teaching and assessments and grades and keeping up the work profiles of people. So with the coming up of many things with assessment basically. So just hold on. We'll just see if I'm here to answer all your queries and all your questions. Um, Still none. I'll just be back in a minute. I'll just check if the list is sent. We'll just send a reminder. Good evening, Ms. Andrea Wilkins. Good evening, Ms. Rajeshwari. Good evening, somebody else who has joined in. Welcome to the session. Ms. Andrea Wilkins. Could you please tell us from which school you're joining in, Ms. Andrea Wilkins? You can unmute yourself and speak. Okay. Fine. I think I'll begin. It's already 5:05. We'll start our session today. I request the host to please move on to slide 11. Okay. Now, firstly, I would like to begin with the bottoms up I'm not going to start with the top-down approach, but with the bottom-up approach. That is, thank you for giving your time. Thank you for allotting yourself 1 hour, firstly, to understand and learn something new from the Cambridge assessment. So thank you very much for joining in and being punctual. Firstly, that's for Purnima and for Rizwana. And why thank you is because I know as educators, as heads of schools, you have so many other things as priorities, but making time to attend this session and making this as your priority at this weekend, we're really thankful for you to join. So this is the main reason we're beginning the session with a thank you note and not with a welcome note. And the next slide, please, slide 10. Now, as I said, this is a bottoms-up approach. I'm not trying to be giving you general information and then going to the specific information, but rather I'm trying to tell you what is the benefit of attending today's session. The benefits of attending today's session, if you see the slide here, you can see it talks about the school evaluation domains and standards. And if you see down the lane, once you finish 3 years and 5 years, you will have a Cambridge review conducted by the Cambridge curriculum. And the benefits that you attain by attending this session is, firstly, you're going to become one among the standard Cambridge school leaders. You're going to fulfill these standards which Cambridge expects you to have. Secondly, you're going to receive a specialized professional development program for your school, exclusive. The third one is you're going to build a network and guidance of support for your improvement. It's not that you're not improving, you are improving, but Cambridge has brought in few tools for easy improvement of your school. And the fourth reason is to get assistance with your 3-year and 5-year review that's going to be held with the Cambridge Assessment International Education. And you're even going to own a Cambridge Assessment admission testing logo and a placard for your school exclusively. Now, as I had told you initially, this program is a flagship program, and Cambridge, they themselves have introduced a new tool. And the new tool is very similar to your psychometric analysis test, very similar to that. They have come up with a new assessment tool, that is the Cpsq assessment. Could you please move on to slide 10? Now, that is as a school as a whole, what are the benefits for the school and what they are going to benefit. Now, as school heads, what are you going to benefit here as a principal, or as a person who is managing the whole team? How are you going to be benefited? If you see, based on the Cambridge review, there are certain standards, there are certain rules or criteria based on which they assess a school's leader. And if you see, the Cambridge assesses the leadership, the curriculum, the evaluation, and how you're building in your whole standard is based on these criteria which I have put up on the slide. And I'm sure you must have already seen it in the Cambridge curriculum portal. And it says that you as a leader need to bring in innovation and improvement. But how are you going to bring in this innovation and improvement? Based on what criteria? What is the need for you to bring in? Until and unless you assess the standards of your school cohort, you need to understand what school cohort you are following right now. That is when you understand whether you need to bring in innovation, and how you're going to bring in that innovation is what we're going to teach you today. Or not teach you, rather, we're just going to showcase it to you, show it to you, or facilitate it to you. And how leading, teaching, and learning, being a leader, how learning and teaching is going to go hand in hand. And how are you going to bring in this professional PDPs, which they keep talking? Cambridge always insists that teachers need to be continuous learners. Only when they start learning, they'll be able to teach better. And basically, they say, Cambridge learners have their own profiles, learner attributes, and teachers have their own teacher attributes. How all these things are going to fall in place? Now, that's the main reason of today's session, because we're trying to outline the whole of education into a different pattern. The Cambridge system is trying to bring it down into a different pattern. Could you please share slide 2? Now, if you could see this picture, I would like to ask a few questions here. Now, there are 3 major sectors which are prominent in a school. Could you tell them what are the three major sectors based on this slide? Anybody can answer it.
Learning, assessment, and teaching.
Exactly. Learning, assessment, and teaching. Now, learning, they say that, learning is nothing to do with principles, it's related to students and teachers. And assessment and teaching. Now, teaching can happen only if teachers are well trained and well supported, and teachers are the central of the whole education pattern. And then when you see the evidence, it should showcase what kind of training you've given and what kind of assessments they're taking or undergoing. And it depends on the assessment as well. A clear standards are required even when you're assessing a student as well as a teacher. So today we're not going to look into the learning part at all. We're not looking into literacy, how much numeracy you've taught your children, how effective your learning is with the students. We're not looking into any of those parts. We're neither looking into how much you have attained so far. And I'm sure you've got good results in the recent results. You've got good results, but how are all of them going to change? How is it going to, how are you going to review what you've been doing in the last few years? I'm not going to say, oh, come on, you've been doing things great for the last 100 years or 1,000 years, and you please continue doing the same thing. No, that's not what we're trying to tell today. Today, we are trying to revamp everything and bring up one assessment which Cambridge says is going to bring up new strategies of implementing uh, new courses, new PDPs, and new methods of teaching. Could you please move on to the next slide? Slide 3, please. Now, as I said, we are only going to look into assessment and teaching part. We are only going to look into teachers and assessment. Now, if we are trying to check the quality of teachers we have, the quality of training that teachers are giving to students, automatically assessment becomes easier and the curriculum becomes manageable. The standards are placed in a proper alignment. So how is this Cpsq going to bring in or check in the standards of assessment? Now, what does this word Cpsq really mean? The word Cpsq, the acronym of Cpsq is Cambridge Personal Style Questionnaire. Now, the Cpsq, Cambridge Personal Style Questionnaire, is not only for teachers, it's even for students. So, Cpsq is trying to check the non-cognitive skills of both teachers as well as students. Could you please move on to slide 6? Now, as I said this is a personal style questionnaire. It's very similar to your psychometric analysis test. And as I said teachers, non-cognitive skills are not assessed at all. Most of us, we only conduct a demo session. We check their certificates, we check their experiences, how many years of work they've had as a teacher, and what are the different subjects they've been teaching in different schools. But as a person who are bonded with children emotionally, what kind of personal style or what kind of personality they are at your schools. And if you see, for the teacher, they are assessed based on these 7 qualities: caring and compassion, person-centered communication, working well with others, self-management, professional practice, coping with demands, and engagement with learning. So these are the 7 attributes based on which the teachers are assessed. And when it comes to students, they are assessed based on these 4 qualities: the thinking ability, their urge or the motivation to study, coping with demands, and how well they're able to communicate and collaborate with others. So these are the basic uh, attributes based on which the teachers and students are assessed. Now, before I could proceed further with my presentation, I wanted to see the survey. We had when we had tried to register you into this webinar, all of you had given your own responses. I request the host to please show that survey. The survey, the responses of principals. The Google Form survey, please. In the survey, what we found is almost 70% of school heads, the workforce, were all dealt by women. This is the survey. Can you please scroll down? Scroll up, probably scroll up further up. No, down, please. Yeah. If you see all the heads, there were 20 responses from school heads, and we found that almost 90% of school heads had post graduation as their qualifications, and only 10% of them had PhDs. And when you see their language proficiency, and when it comes to English, the CEFR framework, we found that the C2 levels, which is supposed to be the highest level of language proficiency, only 15% of them had C2 levels. Whereas if you see, the intermediate levels between A2 to A2, B1 and B2, they were almost 20%. It was almost similar. So even the language competencies, if you see, of principals and school heads, it was almost only up to 20%. Can you just see the teaching experience? Scroll down. Now, most of the school heads, if you see, 40% of them had 5 to 10 years of experience working as school heads, and probably there were very few who had teaching experience. Only 40% of them who were school heads had teaching experience. And if you see, can you please scroll the slide? Almost 75% of school heads have said that they haven't assessed their non-cognitive skills of their teachers. Only 25% have said yes, we have assessed them, but they didn't have a proper tool as to which tool they use to check their non-cognitive skills. And if you see the principals or school heads, as I said, the work experience as principals themselves, you see 60% of them had experience of just 0 to 5 years as school heads, and 5 to 10 years maximum, 25% of them. So if you see, all school heads also are changing. School heads are not stagnant at a place. They also keep moving on for quality of life, quality of work environment. So everybody are changing their lifestyles. And what I wish to tell today based on this survey is, it makes it very obvious. Could you please go back to the slide, host Jaiselan? Please go back to the PPT. Go to slide 4. Now, if you see, we have seen 3 different types of revolution. The first one was the Industrial Revolution. And if you see the Industrial Revolution, we found that we had gone to work, or probably our grandparents had gone to work only for survival. And they had very less opportunities. They didn't have much of, they were like, there were very few opportunities. So they were, for survival reasons, they were able to withstand in a place for a long time. Even if they had abusive bosses, and they didn't have any other option, they stuck on to the work, and they were there for a long time. But gradually, as the information revolution came in, it was like, people like, like our parents, it's our generation, our parents, more than survival, they wanted to build in a standard of living for us. And this standard of living was only to get a good salary. And all of our parents, you remember paying EMIs for car loans and for education for their children. That's for us. And they wanted to build in a standard of living. But gradually in 2008, when there was a recession of the information technology, they found that with information, knowledge was available everywhere. It is not that knowledge was not there and it is very less. It was available to everyone. And if you see, now we are in the social revolution, where every one of us have everything in hand. Our students are far better than teachers. The quality of our teachers are still stuck behind. And with the social revolution, we see that quality of life has taken an upper hand. We want quality of job, we want quality in the workplace, we want quality of environment. And ultimately, we see our teachers are not being sustainable at a particular place. They keep hopping, jumping, skipping in search of this particular quality. And that is where our school heads find it very difficult. They train, they give them good PDPs, and you see hardly the faculty sits on or stay in a particular school for long days or long years. And the same survey we did last time when we did a webinar for almost 261 teachers had joined in who were connected with us, and the same kind of a response we saw. Most of them were looking forward to learn. Most of them wanted leading positions at school, and they wanted opportunities to learn and be rewarded. Now, how can the school management really reward them? How can the school management really allow them to learn and be as an asset? Now, most of them are liabilities in our school, and none of them are assets. So, how are we going to convert this liability into assets? And that is where Cpsq assessment plays a major role. Could you please go back to the PPT to slide 8? 7, sorry, slide 7. Yes. Okay. Rizwana, I have a small question for you. Now, can you see this report? This is a sample report of 2 teachers. And in fact, Percy Evangeline from the Rajas International School was the teacher who was the first Indian teacher to have a report, to possess the Cpsq report. And you can see the qualities there. Is it visible for you, the qualities? And
It's actually, yeah, too minute to read. If you could zoom in, I could read
yes.
better.
Host, could you please zoom in that particular slide, Percy? Just zoom in. Now, as I said you, there are 7 attributes based on which these teachers are being assessed. So is this a little better now? I think you should be able
Yes, yes, I'm able to read it. Yes.
Yes. What does this graph talk about?
Come again. I missed you sometime back. Can you tell me again, please?
I just want you to read the graph. Just interpret
The graph, the interpret the graph. Okay. So it seems that there is 100% for self-management.
Very good.
Yes, and we have in 82 of the attributes of coping with demands and working well with others.
Okay.
We see at 63 attributes, caring and compassion, professional practice, and engagement with learning.
Okay.
And the least seems to be for person-centered communication.
Excellent. Could you just go to the next slide, Jocelyn? Not the next slide, just slide towards Kamala's data. Can you see a change comparative to Percy and Kamala? The data varies now. If you see
Definitely, there's a
Percy,
lot. Yes.
yes. How does it change?
Okay, she first of all doesn't have 100% in anything. There still seems to be a scope for a lot of things. So her highest seems to be in 3 attributes: professional practice,
Very good.
and self-management, and engagement with learning. And the other 3, again, we have 3 attributes almost the same, with coping with demands, caring and compassion, and person-centered communication, which was least over there, but over here it's definitely, we can see a 40% rise. And one of the least things over here is working well with others.
Yes. So now, when we get to understand the non-cognitive skills of these teachers, we understand that a person who has 100% in self-management, they are people who can arrive to class prepared. They are the only teachers who come prepared for a session. Those who have self-management skills, and they have high attention span. They pay, for a long time, they are able to pay attention and learn new things. They follow directions. They allow others to speak without interruption, and they work independently with focus. They are even said they have the attribute of self-control in children. So now we understand that, self-management is this kind of attribute, and this person can be placed for this kind of a job. Of course, we only assess them based on their qualifications, and then we assess them, okay, she has this amount of subject knowledge. Let us put her in the mid section, let her put her in the primary section, or let us give her the higher section, IGCSE curriculum, or the Cambridge AS or A levels. But we never think about these attributes, and ultimately, we end up putting different teachers for different positions. So probably this is a report which can be discussed along with the teacher, and you can sit along with the teacher, discuss along with them, and get to understand, okay, these are your attributes. Would it be nice if you could take up this position? Because ultimately, as I said, you people want to have quality in work. They are not working for survival nowadays, and neither are they working only for any kind of position. They want to learn, they want to improve, they want to be rewarded. So these attributes definitely play a major role. And I want you to see how the Cambridge is giving us the report. I request Rajeshwari to just read the report. Host, please show the report, a sample report of Miss Kamala, not Kamala, sorry, Miss Percy, the teacher's report. And this is how the report comes from Cambridge assessment admission testing. It gives you a detailed score. It's a 30 minutes test. Not a test, it's not even supposed to be called a test. It's just a questionnaire, a simple questionnaire, and the questions would be very simple, like, how long can you sit and concentrate on a task? Very simple question. And when these kind of questions come in, based on, there are around 40 questions, they assess the questions, they read the questions, and they just evaluate themselves based on strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree. And you get a complete detail of how, and Cambridge assessment gives you a detailed information of what are the positive points, what are the neutral points, and what are the points that you need to improve with. So this is how the report looks like, and Rajeshwari is going to just read down how the reports are being sent to the school heads. So these assessments will be done by the school for your teachers, and you get a report. Then you review what kind of staff you have. Based on that review, you can create a developmental plan. And again, the developmental plan will be a little different. Based on, every school will have a unique developmental plan. So I request Rajeshwari to just read all the assessment reports, how it looks like. And this assessment was taken on August 3rd, 2021. And she's the first person to have this report.
Good evening. This is Cpsq report of a teacher, Percy Wanglin. First point, caring and compassion, and her neutral points. She tends to be willing to help others, and she generally picks up on the needs of others, but occasionally misses opportunities to help. She usually realizes how others are feeling and can act with consideration. She is normally patient and calm, but may occasionally show impatience with difficult people. Person-centered communication, and this is also her neutral points. She's comfortable in meeting and getting to know strangers. She feels reasonably confident when communicating with others. She's likely to engage with others in a fairly warm and compassionate manner. Working well with others, this is also her neutral points. She's happy to work collaboratively but can also work independently whenever required. She's willing to compromise with the group over most matters. She will try to avoid conflict if possible. She can occasionally show frustration with others. Self-management and her positive points. She likes to pursue high standards of work. She typically has a clear sense of direction and sets own challenging personal goals. She independently starts work on a task straight away. She finds it easy to maintain focus on work and pursue until it is finished. She characteristically works in a structured way and tends to be highly organized. Professional practice, neutral points. She generally works within a set procedures and guidelines. She would be as likely as most to admit mistakes and take personal responsibility for actions. She have a balanced attitude to risk and will probably think about consequences of an action before doing it. Coping with demands. Neutral points. She normally feels relaxed about things and tend not to worry excessively. She can usually cope up with pressure without becoming too stressed. She generally has a positive attitude towards coping with problems and change. She recovers or bounces back from setbacks as well as most people. Engagement with learning. Neutral points. She's similar to most people in their willingness to question and analyze information. She is likely to be moderately interested in theory behind the practice. She sometimes considers different perspectives and possible alternatives when problem solving. She is likely, as most individuals, to try to generate ideas and coming up with creative solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajeshwari. This is how the report looks like. And, based on this report, once you read it, are you able to hear me? Yeah. Okay. Once you get to understand the non-cognitive skills of your faculty, of your team, it becomes easier to assign your job and assign what kind of extra tasks you can give them. Now, very similar to this is a student report for teachers. Now, if you go back to slide 2, Jesselyn, please go back to slide 2, 3. Now, if you see the teachers, if you see your teachers based on assessment, how are you going to assess and how are you going to assess your teachers? Are they dependable? Are they having standard and clear information of who they are and what they're doing? It becomes easier for you to create your development plan. Now, similarly, for students, there is another report which talks about the students' capabilities. Could you please go down to slide, students' report slide? Now, this student had taken this Cpsq report from the Shram Academy, Ainam Bakam, and she's the first person to hold the Cpsq report. And this student, if you see, her name is Erin Francisca, and she has good thinking capacity, but she isn't a person who would spend a lot of time in studying. And she has just 60% of information. She's able to cope up demands only up to 60%. And when it comes to communication and collaboration, she has almost 80% of that attribute. So that means this person is an outgoing person. She's able to talk with others and get work done. But she's not a person who's able to sit and study for a longer time. So once you understand your attributes of your students as well, and she is a Cambridge A-level student at the Ainam Bakam campus, the Shram Academy. And we get to understand that this student has this attribute. So automatically this report is given to the teachers. And when the teachers get this report about the student, it becomes easier for them to assess, okay, this is the kind of non-cognitive skill my student has, and what is the point in allowing her or making her sit and study for long hours? We need to give her to the target, to the point, or maybe we'll have to motivate her to study further. It can be either ways, how the school wishes to do it. Now, if you see, there's another sample report of Lynn Dale. Can you please scroll the screen towards Lynn Dale? Lynn Dale has very less communication and collaboration attribute, just 40%. But her thinking capacity is really high. She comes out with creative ideas. So this is how you assess your students. And I think I'll ask Rajeshwari to again show you another report of the student Cpsq standards, the attributes, and she's going to read out how the evaluation standards are, how the assessment report is given from the Cambridge themselves. Rajeshwari, could you please read that, show that report of Lindale and see how the scores are actually given. It gives you the positive points, the neutral points, and the points to improve on. It gives you a complete hand-holding, how you need to handle the child. Please go ahead reading that report.
Yeah, Cpsq report of Lendale, thinking and her positive points. She typically questions and analyzes information. She needs to find things out of herself and like to be thorough with her research. She thinks of herself as highly imaginative and as someone who can come up with lots of creative ideas. She probably explores problems from many different perspectives and is open to multiple possible solutions. Steady, her neutral points. She takes a balanced approach to personal achievements. She wants to do her best but are unlikely to be overly ambitious. She has some ideas about what she would like to do and sometimes set herself achievable goals to reach. She usually gets on with her work, but occasionally she might put off starting some routine or boring tasks. It is similar to most students in her capacity to focus on her work and preserve until it is finished. She probably plan and prioritize some of her activities. She mainly approaches work in a structured way and tends to be organized for what she needs to do. Coping and her positive points. She rarely worries and feels relaxed about most things. She might even thrive on new and unexpected challenges. Her neutral points. She remains reasonably patient and calm when tasks or situations are frustrating. Points to improve. She sometimes feels less positive about her capacity to cope up with problems and setbacks. She might take some time to adopt the changes in new learning environments. Communication. She moderately outgoing. She will usually start a conversation if she has some connection to a person. She is in an unfamiliar situation. She might wait for others and to make first approach and patiently lose out on making new friends and connections. She reasonably socially confident. She tend to balance speaking and listening in a group discussion and are usually comfortable with delivering presentations as long as she can prepare. She may occasionally let more dominant people, but her contributing to group discussions. Her communication style tends to be task-focused and straight to the point. She may at times come across as insensitive or too direct. Collaboration. She prefers to work independently and direct her own work. She might sometimes forget to consult or include others. She stayed true to her ideas, even if it makes her unpopular. She rarely compromises and tends to put her own ideas first. She is less willing to be constrained by group rules and norms of behavior. She may find it challenging to collaborate with people who likes to work within rules. She rarely overcommit herself and let others look after their own responsibilities. Be careful not to break commitments and when working with others. She is willing to take a risk and try new things as long as she have had responsible amount of time of thinking thorough. Depending on the situation, she might overthink or spend too long thinking about risk and find it difficult to make a decision. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. So that is the report, and this is how a detailed understanding of every student is given. Can you hear me, Rizwana? Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. So this is how the report is given to students and to teachers. Once you understand the student profile and you understand the teacher profile, it becomes easier for you to create a staff developmental plan. Now, all of you are doing different kinds of assessment based on their learning abilities, learning objectives, based on subjects and everything. But now the same report is going to be helpful even for admissions at foreign universities, especially the Cambridge curriculum. If you have if the students have completed the Cambridge A levels, and if they wish to take up an admission in another school with an online programming, giving this kind of a report also helps in certain UK based organizations and universities. It is accepted. So just like how in software companies, they check an employee's psychometric test, they check and they understand the attributes and capabilities of an employee. Nowadays, it's going to become mandatory at Cambridge schools that Cpsq assessment becomes, a report which checks the quality of teachers that you have at your schools, quality of students that you're sending out from your schools. So this is all about Cambridge Cpsq assessment. Now I look forward to any kind of a questions. I'm ready to answer now. Anybody, any kind of questions?
Yes, if I may, Ms. Reena. So let's take the scenario where
Unmute
CP.
yourself, Rizwana.
Yes, I have. Ms. Reena, can you hear me now? Ms. Reena?
Rizwana, you're audible.
Okay. All right. All right. So
Yes,
if once
Rizwana.
this, yes, if the Cpsq is, for example, is carried out, and we have seen these areas of improvement, we have also seen the neutral points and already the positive points. What would be the next steps from here? So, what kind of do we seek with Cambridge itself? Some kind of a customized professional development program. So, I would like to know what are the next steps once we have these kind of attributes. So in-house training and in-house work is something, generally we do that, we're looking at a term end or end of a year. It's something that we would generally do. But can we get some kind of a guidelines from Cambridge on how this could be done? You were
Yes.
talking about something which can be customized for our school itself. So could you inform us more about it?
Yes. In fact, if you see Cambridge, they themselves offer different kinds of Cambridge professional development programs. See, they call it as PDPs. And similarly, even for students, they do have certain professional workshops. So based on this report, the kind of teachers or students that you have, the Cambridge would just assess your reports. Then they will come up with a unique training program or a professional development program customized purely for every school. And that is what we are trying to do here with Matilda Academy. We're going to offer this exact guidance and support to the lagging areas. So that is what we are promising right now. But before that, before we could even customize, now we need to understand, they normally say, a training program is built based on the need analysis. So we need to understand the need of every school. And if you see Tamil Nadu being the highest, Tamil Nadu being a state which has the highest number of Cambridge International Schools in South India. And then after that comes Maharashtra, and then Kerala, and then Andhra and Telangana in south of India. So Tamil Nadu is the only one. So if you see every state, the kind of assessment has become different. So we need to first understand the review. We need to understand the assessment of the students and teachers. Then it becomes easier for us to create a PDP for you exclusively. And that we are offering. Again, it depends on which key area we need to focus. Based on the 7 attributes of teachers, and again, based on the 5 attributes of students, every area is going to be sorted out. It'll be a discussion. You get to sit and discuss with us. We give you a complete details of the report. We build an analysis report, and then normally they say there's a design thinking platform. And based on the design thinking platform, we identify the problem and we give you the solution. Any other questions from anybody else?
I have one.
Yes, please.
Ms. Reena, so if this is something that Cambridge is partnering with you, or I would like to just say any particular institution which is able to share its expertise and help schools. Now, how does Cambridge recommend schools enroll? I mean, why is it not mandatory yet, or is it something that is just beginning to take predominance? Okay. Now the other thing is, we are all Cambridge affiliated schools, right? Now when
Yes.
we are Cambridge affiliated schools, we have you know we have passed through certain critical stages of intervention and assessment and interviews, etc. And we have been given the affiliation. Now it is up to the school and up to Cambridge to ensure that the school is doing things rightly, right? So how much of this is an option given to the school, and how much of this is Cambridge really taking responsibility for?
Now, at the moment, that is what Cambridge is trying to do, because they are sitting at a different place. They're just trying to get the reports during the 3-year review or during the 5-year review. It's only the documents that's being sent. And the exact picture is not still clear. So to get that clear, they're trying to bring in this assessment criteria, admission testing criteria. Okay, what kind of standard of teachers you have, what kind of standard of students you're sending out of your school. So once they get this particular information, it becomes easier. Okay, what kind of a school head, what kind of a school cohort you have built for yourself. So
right. So
yes.
now if Cambridge is just starting it up, and if you are you have partnered with Cambridge, and through you, Cambridge is going to be able to reach out to the entire community of Cambridge schools in India. And you have presented this to us. So what next?
The next thing is you're going to take up the assessment.
Okay.
We would like to know the number of faculty you have, the number of students you have, and the Cambridge Cpsq for students is only for students above 14 years. And for teachers, there's no age limit. Anybody can take in as long as they could have a proficient language level.
So it's going to be a communication between you and the school that is interested in taking this up.
Yes.
And the formalities that it would include are?
Just send us an interest, EOI, expression of interest that you would like to take up the Cpsq for teachers and for students to the given mail ID. To the same mail ID that we had dropped in the details of the webinar. Just send in your interest. And we would be sending you a form, a detailed form as to how many teachers you have. We would like to, and there'll be another questionnaire. We're trying to understand the school cohort. There's again another questionnaire for you. After you fill in that questionnaire, then we'll be sending you the Cpsq assessment directly to your teachers, and the reports would come only to you, only to the school head. So once it comes to the school head, we will have a discussion. We'll try to discuss about the reports and the standards of teachers and students, and how content, cognitive and non-cognitive skills go hand in hand, how it's going to be built together, and how ultimately how it's going to bring out the Cambridge learner attributes. And to the teachers also, because there are learner attributes for students as well as for teachers. Are they fulfilling all the learner attributes? So once the students step out of your school, are they going out with good non-cognitive skills? Because now it's become a time where everything is available. Emotional standards are important. Social standards are important. Apart from educational standards, academic results. So this is a branded report that your students also will be getting. And it's going to be an added point for them in admissions in foreign universities.
Totally understandable.
Ivy League university.
So what is the timeline that this is going to encompass?
There isn't a particular timeline. It's just a small assessment, and it varies. People keep changing. People's attributes keep changing.
How often then should a school take it up?
Just once a year.
Okay.
At the beginning of the academic year would always be better.
Okay.
Now that you're preparing for the bigger academic year, and things are, all the staff are recruited and they're placed into particular academic calendar based schedules. This is the right time for you to take the assessment.
Okay.
And assess both your teachers and your students, and it becomes easier for you to understand what kind of cohort you have, what kind of teachers you have, what kind of students you have with you, and build a development plan. And we'll be there to assist you with the planning out the development plan. And the development plan is again going back to the review, the 3-year review and the 5-year review, which Cambridge promises, telling that we're going to evaluate every school, what kind of standards they are following. And that's the same thing. Could you please go back to slide 11, Jaisalin? 10, sorry. The 5 domains. Are you able to fulfill all the 5 domains? The school's mission and educational values, you've already given it in the beginning when you were trying to affiliate yourself with the Cambridge curriculum. The second domain were school management and leadership. So with the Cpsq assessment, domain 2 and 3 is taken care of. Domain 1 is taken care by the management. You've already done it. It's already structured for you. It's already been implemented in your schools. Domain 4, resources for learning, is also there with you. You have the Cambridge resources which you're already following. And domain 5, community engagement programs, you already have even that. But only school management and leadership details. Now, for the leader, it becomes easy now. You understand your own teachers and students. Being the head, you're going to assess them. You're going to check the quality of teaching happening. You're going to check the quality of learning happening. Domain 2 and 3 is made easier with the Cpsq assessment. Ultimately, your review becomes easier. Your documentation becomes easier. We help you with the documentation process as well.
Okay. Now, which of this is a part of the regular process of a Cambridge affiliated school, and which of this is a paid service that we as a school have to, commit ourselves to?
Now, the Cpsq for teachers is they have marked a benchmark of 20 pounds. Each assessment costs 20 pounds.
Okay.
Both the students and teachers. That is in Indian money, it comes somewhere around 2,000 rupees for each.
Okay.
So once you take up this report, either you could take it up, you could ask the teachers themselves to take it, or if the school is sponsoring, you can sponsor it for the teachers. Either ways. And similarly for the students, it can be made accessible, and you can even share the reports of the students even to parents. It becomes easier for you to share about your students' non-cognitive skills to the parents. Discuss with them, tell them, see, this is how your child is. And this assessment, Cpsq assessment, has been developed, designed after long research, and it has come up with the Cambridge University. And they've tried, almost 4,000 teachers and students have tried on this, and it's a valuable thing that is being given to you.
Okay. And then when this further leads to, the assessment of, or basically our engagement with you or with Cambridge, and we are, looking at the entire school being assessed and evaluated or reviewing, what does that encompass in terms of the?
After we review the students and teachers, we help you build a developmental plan. Now these are where you need to patch up and start pushing up your school towards, and these
Now
are the
that
areas
will
which are
be.
already doing well.
I'm sorry. I'm interrupting so often
No, not
because.
at all, not at all, please.
So when we get a plan, when a school gets a plan saying that your school as such, you need to improve on these areas, your teachers, you need to improve. So is it that you are going to give, or Cambridge is going to give, a checklist for recruitment, how to improve your recruitment right from there on, because it starts with
Yes,
that, right? So how to
definitely.
have a better recruitment plan, then how to have a training plan, and how
Correct.
to have an evaluation,
Yes.
an observation and evaluation plan. So like, is this like a one program, or these are separate branches of the school review plan?
These all fall in the same portal. It's like a year. It's a complete a year academic year handholding system. So
Okay.
it begins with the Cpsq report. It
Okay.
begins there. We help you round the year.
Okay.
We assist you. We handhold you for a year. Now, starting
Okay.
in 2021-22, we teach you, we assist you, we handhold you, and 2022 onwards, it's up to
We
you.
should
We
be
just
okay
give
to
you
go.
the Cpsq review. You know how to build it. You know how it has
Okay.
to. You have already worked with us for a year. You know how
So
the
what
system
kind of
works.
a financial commitment is a school looking at that stage? Because like now
Now,
with the Cpsq, you have told us that it's around 20 pounds per teacher.
yes.
So now once that is done and we say yes, we would like to have that, what kind of a financial commitment are we looking at?
Now, this varies for each school. Now, if you see, there is a school which has just started and it's just 1 year that they've been affiliated, and they just have minimal of 15 teachers or 17 teachers. Over there, the financial part is different, but which for a school which is established for almost 10 years, For them, the financial agreements will be different. So this cannot be disclosed at this moment. Again, it depends. For every school, it varies.
Okay, and that is decided by Cambridge.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Further more questions?
I think
Yeah.
I don't know if I stole
I
all the
have a
questions.
Yes.
Reena, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I am Rajkumar from the Home School, Tirupur. I would like to know, see, most of the queries you have clarified. I would like to know, is there any sample questionnaire before we are proceeding with?
Yes, definitely we'll share it once you have planned to take up the Cpsq assessment. Just show us the expression of interest. We'll conduct a separate webinar for that particular school which has shown the interest to take up the assessment. We'll give you a sample question. We'll tell you how it will be held, what kind of questions will be given. It's a very simple questions. It will just ask about. Probably that will be a different webinar on the whole. For this webinar, we've just planned to show you what Cpsq is and how important it is for schools, what kind of questions, and as far as the questionnaire is concerned, there is no need for any kind of a preparation. It's more about understanding your personal style. So I will definitely give you that. Maybe probably once you show us the expression of interest that you really want to take it up, we will be conducting another webinar for you and tell you what kind of questions will be there. How long the questionnaire is just going to, the assessment is just 30 minutes, and the results will be there up immediately after the assessment. It's an online thing. You can take it at a remote area, anywhere, any place, an online assessment. You just have to activate.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
Just one more, Ms. Reena. Could this be like part of the Cambridge audit process?
Come again, sorry, Rizwana, audit?
The audit process of Cambridge, when they come up and, so do you think it would be an added advantage in the audit process itself to
Absolutely.
use
Absolutely, it
this?
is going to help you. It is definitely going to help you. In fact, as I said, we're going to help you even with the documentation process. Because Cambridge is very, very keen about understanding what kind of PDP you've given for your teachers, in which academic year, how many students were there, what kind of community engagement programs you had given them. Everything needs to be documented for the 3-year review or the 5-year review with the Cambridge. Documentation is must, and gradually when you do all of this, we help you with the documentation. We help you, as I said, you in this evaluation standards, the same domain 2 and 3. They're going to check based on management and leadership. There's a whole chunk of information they're going to ask you. What kind of leadership you were holding? How did you assess your teachers? What were the understanding you've got about teachers and students? It again comes back to the same point. Assessing your teachers, understanding your teachers, and show us proofs. So when they ask for proof, you can tell this is the proof. Cambridge itself, we've taken Cpsq itself for our teachers and students. And this gives us a clear understanding of where we are heading to. So it becomes easier. In fact, when we were doing a review for the Sun 2 years back, the 3-year review, and when Mr. had come down there, we understood that, there were still many more key areas which the school had to focus on. There were lots of loopholes. There were lots of, the continuity was missing. And that is when we've understood, okay, fine, we'll have to still work out on these assessment criteria. And now with the pandemic, with online education, it's become even more difficult for us to understand whether the schools and students are really benefiting by the curriculum. Are the learning objectives really being obtained or not? So Cambridge has taken this step, and this was not just now, it has been there for quite some time. Cpsq has been planning, and it's still in the progress of giving new information to us. Yes, Rizwana, any more?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I think that's it for the day. And I would like to thank all of you for being here for this last 1 hour. And I hope this session had enlightened you with a few new information about the Cambridge admission testing. And that's it for the day. Enjoy learning. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.